Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्ता नमस्तुते तप्ते काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी ऋषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So heartily welcome to all of you. Just give me one moment, please. Okay, so let's have a quick recap of what we discussed yesterday. So, day before yesterday, we all read the 64 limbs of sadhana bhakti that Srila Rupa Goswami states from Srimad Bhagavatam and Hari Bhakti Vilas. Now, the next chapter contained the first 18 evidences from scriptures for first 18 list of items. Okay, and we discussed that first and foremost, the most important part is to accept the shelter of bona fide spiritual master, Guru Padashraya. Why it is so important? Because spiritual master opens the door to all other limbs of devotional service. Without this, everything else becomes inaccessible. So he guides, he instructs us on how to perform the other limbs. Then the second is to accept, to take diksha from a spiritual master and receive instructions. The next item was to serve spiritual master with faith, in which it was discussed how to apply the knowledge of 1 and 2. The previous 2 points is by Guru Seva. Just give me one moment. I need to put charger. Yes. So then our next point was following the footsteps of saintly persons, inquiring about religious principles, prepared to give up material enjoyment. That's also a limb of devotional service, sadhana bhakti. Residing in sacred place. The other sub-points are the evidence that Srila Rupa Goswami states in that chapter in relation to that point. And accepting what is necessary, why regulation is important, so that we can remember Krishna. Fasting on Ekadashi, And then, what's the 10th point? Offering respects to? Can someone fill in the blanks?
Banyan tree.
Yes. Then 11th point, the next 10 points deals with don'ts. The first 10 points dealt with the do's, and the next 10 point deals with the don'ts. To give up the company of non-devotees. Who are non-devotees? There are three categories. First are the atheists, then demigod worshippers, and the Mayavadis. And how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu orders to give up the association of non-devotees. Asatsang tyag ai vaishnavachar. Nishkinchanasya bhagavad bhajanonmukhasya. Paramparam jigamishor bhavadhagarasya. And similarly, other examples were given. How Shastra stressed this point again and again. Then from 12, 13, and 14, do not accept unfit disciples, not construct many temples, not read so many books. So specifically to avoid false prestige. And we had a small discussion about the right mood, what is the danger and pitfall, why such this is recommended, and how to see this point in a right spirit. So false prestige is condemned. But if one does it as a service to Parampara, as a service to Krishna, for glorification of Krishna, but not out of false prestige, those are welcome. So next point was the simplicity in dealings, the transparency. Yes. So similarly, other points were there. Not giving pain to other living entities. Both anudveg, daitya, not troubling other living entities. And this was quoted from Mahabharata. Do not neglect demigods, do not give pain to living entities. So sets of don'ts. So the first, first 18 points were listed in this chapter. Then there's a separate chapter on the next point, 19th point, and that is related to offense. Avoiding offenses in deity worship and chanting. Seva nam aparadhanam udbhav abhav karida. So for Seva Aprad and Nam Aprad, the entire chapter is dedicated. And it was explained that why offenses to be avoided, what are the results of offenses. It takes mind away from Krishna. So the essence of sadhana is to fix one mind on Krishna. But offense, take mind away from Krishna. It becomes more and more difficult to engage in devotional service. The attachment reduces. Whereas, and we also discuss offense means to disrespect. The opposite of offense is to respect. And then we went through the list of 32 list of offenses. This you were supposed to read at home. So if you have read this list and if you have any question, you can ask at this junction from the list of Seva Aprad. If you have any confusion or any point that you want to discuss from that list, you can bring that up now. Okay, then let's move forward.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
One point comes like after this 29, like, before in the book it is given like 29 at once. There is a list of 32 offenses. There comes a word line that one should not worship the deity before a non-devotee.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean? But we do worship the deity in front of everyone.
One should not worship the deity before the non-devotee. Yes.
Yes.
So, what is
So
your
what does
question?
it mean? So what
Sorry.
does it mean? So what does it mean? We do worship the deity in front of everyone, be it devotee or non-devotee. So I could not understand this point.
So yes, when we worship the deity in front of non-devotee, how that is Seva Prad, if all of them are non-devotees who do not believe in deity. So first of all, we worship the deity out of bhakti. That element of bhakti would be completely missing. Those devotees, those persons, non-devotees will commit aparadh. And that's why it has been listed as one of the offense. And that is why in ISKCON temples, um, during Aarti time, and when the pujaris are worshipping inside, but there is Sankirtan going on outside. So how can you perform Sankirtan until unless you are a devotee? And yet the places of worship are an open public places where anyone can come and take benefit. So yes, this is one of the seva aparadh. If there are no devotees outside, and if there are all non-devotees, and in the previous point, Srila Rupa Goswami expands on who is a non-devotee. So three kinds of non-devotees were mentioned, right? The Mayavadis, the demigod worshippers, the agnostics. Yeah. So not so a non-devotee can come into the temple, no problem. But it doesn't mean that we'll stop worship. I mean, all other are the devotees. The Sankirtan is going on. Majority of them are devotees. So non-devotee specifically who does not believe in Krishna, does not believe that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just like when from Bhagavatam, when Krishna was given that Agra Puja during the Rajasuya Yagya of Yudhishthira Maharaj, and Krishna was given the honor of the first worship, what happened? Shishupal became so envious and started cursing Krishna more and more. So it just spoiled the entire environment there, right? And then finally Krishna killed him with his Sudarshan disc. So yeah, it's one of the offense. This process of bhakti is actually reserved for devotees. And you'll find a similar injunction in Bhagavad Gita, last chapter, where Krishna says, explain this message to my devotees and not to some non-devotees. And there Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, sometimes devotee understanding the mood of Krishna, he takes even that risk. Yeah. But this entire path and process is reserved for bhaktas, or at least those who are innocent. Yes, Vrindavan Vasi Prabhu.
Please, Prabhuji, some points when I was reading this. One should not circumambulate in front of the deed of Sri Krishna. So, Prabhuji, normally we have seen, as we have been made aware, so we do the parikramas. But when we see that some persons who don't have knowledge, or maybe they are coming from the previous what they have heard, so they try to circulate in front of the Lord. So, in this particular circumstance, should if we see them, should we tell them no, this is not good, or they will not understand immediately? So, what should be done?
No, we need not tell anyone. This is a matter of how do we educate devotees. Fine. So it's a matter of education.
Okay.
So if they're taking a course on Vaishnav Sadachar, they're taking a course on Bhakti śāstrī. That is the right platform and the point to discuss there. Otherwise, people come, they come with all sorts of notion. If you just correcting anyone and everyone on the subtle aspects before even addressing the basic concept, they may not even know Krishna is God. They are coming out of their own sentiment and they have their own rituals. So I think we should just give space to everyone, and only when someone is willing to inquire more and to go deeper and to trying to understand more, only then these things are discussed. Otherwise, everyone will feel very, very suffocated and very scared, and eventually may just give up coming to the temple. We go and everyone is just correcting each other. Everyone is not don't do this, don't do this, do this, don't do this. We have so much. We already have so enough of it going on in every place.
So the technical reason not behind doing this is, of course, we are not been recommended by the acharyas. And as but is it because when we circumambulate, our back is shown to the deities? Is that the reason?
Circumambulation is a sign of showing respect. It's a sign of showing I'm your servant. So the idea is that deity is the supreme lord when he's standing there. To circumambulate anyone else in front of deity is inappropriate, because in a way we are saying that this person is greater. So when Krishna is present, then all attention is on Krishna, and we are circumambulating Krishna, not anyone else.
So that is the reason we don't, when the doors are closed, so therefore we don't offer it to Tulsi Marani, we don't do the parikrama till the time the doors are open. So we do afterwards only.
Yeah, so that's one. Second, the temple schedule is as such. The deities has to be dressed, so the door has to be closed. And some temples, not temples, but small centers where the deity dressing is at little later time, they keep the doors open. So yes, that is the idea, that Tulsi Maharani is a great devotee of the Lord until the time the darshans are open. So no devotee would want themselves to be circumambulated in the presence of Supreme Lord.
Now, the 11th point says one should not accept prasad before the deity. So sometimes, Prabhuji, we go to South Indian temples, maybe Sri Sampradaya in Delhi itself. So we see that during evening times, when they offer the bhoga, then they make devotees sit in the line and they offer prasad. And so normally, as we know that we don't take in front of the deity, so we take it and then we even don't take Chanamrit in front of the Lord, so we take it and then we go here and there. So how do we understand, since that is also a Vaishnava Sampradaya, so how do we understand this point from overall perspective?
Okay, this is new to me. I have not experienced in any of the temples where they serve, and some places I have experienced, but that was more a question of logistics rather than philosophy. It was logistics wise, it was not possible to have a separate place and to have separate area for serving prasadam. So those were the concerns. So I think we need to look into that. I'm not sure which temple does that and what is their idea behind it. Usually the prasadam is served at a different place. One reason is because of cleanliness. The temple of the Lord has to be absolutely spotlessly clean. And And of course, so many other things happens then when we honor Prasad and
Prabhuji, point number 14. So, Prabhuji, one should not talk before with others before the deity. So, again, Prabhuji, of course, one is like sometimes when we are there, sometimes we even speak. I will not say that I don't talk, but some other devotees also who start talking. So normally the etiquette is we take them to a side and then we start talking.
yeah.
So, and sometimes if there is some senior and then it's not possible to ask them to do this. So what kind of talks are allowed? Like if it is related to preaching, can we do that? What is allowed and what is not allowed? And if the senior is approaching, then how should we take care of the situation?
So I think this is if you see even in a modern context or in a normal context, leaving aside the deity, if you are in presence of a president of India, if you're in presence of the prime minister of a country or a very big official and dignitary, how much decorum we observe in front of that, because the whole consciousness is of awe and reverence. And that is why Srila Prabhupada said, we should worship these deities in a mode of Lakshmi Narayan. What do we mean by that? Although we are worshipping Radha Krishna only, but that would mean with that awe and reverence first. So when Krishna is present, the supreme creator of this entire universe is present there, is standing, giving darshan, and we neglect our attention from him and engage in our own conversation and forgetting him. So that's a sign of disrespect, is it not? So the more we become sensitive to these details, the more subtle and finer our devotional service becomes. That mood and consciousness is instilled in our thought. All of these regulations helps us to remember Krishna more and more. It helps us fix our mind on Krishna more and more. So it depends upon us. The more we observe this, the better it is. It's a sign of showing respect to the deity there.
So probably like if the talk is of preaching or it's related to the Lord, so is that okay?
See, if it is related to anything, if let us say if I have that mood that the darshans are open, the deities are open, if I am that conscious and sensitive, it just comes out in my behavior. Then it inspires the other person also to maybe take that matter outside the temple hall and let that space of worship be, have that proper mood and consciousness, let it prevail, because I may not be the only person present in the temple hall. There are so many other Vaishnavas who are coming and fixing their mind on Krishna, praying and meditating. And so ideally, it is best to take all such talks outside the temple hall. Once we start in the name of preaching and Krishna consciousness, it begins from there, but it is very easy to just go off track from there. So some situations are unavoidable. We agree. There will be some exceptions to it. And yet, the more conscious we are, the more we will preserve the sanctity of that place, the more that mode of respect towards the deity would prevail. Otherwise, you just imagine a scene that deity's darshans are open, everyone is engaging in their own conversation, no one is paying attention to them. How derogatory and disrespectful it is. And then consider another scenario where everyone is fixed in that mood and they're all, how pure that place would be. how how sanctified that place would be. So that's ideal. That's we are supposed to do. What happens on a daily and practical basis? Now it is up to each one of us. How do we take these and apply in our own lives. Whatever possible, we should try our best. That's the purpose of reading them. The more awareness is there, better it is.
Right. Prabhuji, any other person devotees can ask, then I'll ask.
Sure. Yes, Jonika Mataji. I know I announce this every day, but I'll still like to announce, if possible, switch on your cameras. It really adds some personalism to the class. It helps develop a good connection. Yes, Jonika Mataji, please ask.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Prabhuji, like I have a question related to Seva Aparadh. Like in a crowd care service, we beg devotees to move on in a queue at the time of festivals. Some devotees get offended. Is it forbidden by Krishna?
Forbidden? What is forbidden by Krishna?
Like in our crowd care services, we request devotees to move on in a queue for darshans. So they
Yeah.
get offended sometimes. I have noticed in my crowd care service. So is it forbidden by Krishna?
Mataji, I could understand your point till they become offended, but I'm not able to relate the question. Is it forbidden by Krishna? What is forbidden by Krishna? The crowd care service or to become angry?
Like devotees get angry when we request them to move on in a queue.
Yeah.
So they feel like how they have said us, and I request devotees to move on so that everybody can have darshans at the time of festivals. So is
Yeah.
it forbidden by Krishna or that devotee? And how, if not, then how can we counteract it?
Are you asking that seva is forbidden by Krishna, or are you asking that response of devotees is forbidden by Krishna?
Offend that particular devotee get offended कि move on करने के लिए बोल दिया है हमें.
So I think they are very right. Anyone can become offended, and we see in the pastime of Lord Chaitanya, when Jagannath's Rath Yatra was going on, and Pandit was taking darshan. I think she was Pandit only, and the minister of Maharaj Pratap Rudra, when he was pushing him aside, requesting him. First of all, he requested him, please get aside. The king is not able to get darshan. He ignored him. And then he requested again, and the third time. And then this Srivas Pandit became irritated and he turned towards him. He was a minister of the king and he slapped him in public. And this minister became angry and he was about to respond, and king stopped him and said, you are so fortunate. You got mercy from the associate of Lord Chaitanya. So yes, that is the art, how we perform that service. And therefore, the training is very important, how to perform that service. If we lose our cool and calm at there, so Prabhupada said, push, not Prabhupada, I heard from his Krishna Venerat Prabhu. So when we push with a smile. We keep a smile on our face and we request them in such a way they are not offended. And that is the art that we need to learn. How to do that? If we try to do that, Krishna will give intelligence how to do that. And proper training is required. So, but if is why they are not moving, and if you're coming from the place of frustration, if we are giving that energy, then they will respond to that energy only. The egos will clash. And they may be very right. I waited for 3 hours to get a darshan and you are just pushing me in another 10 seconds. So then all sorts of things happen. You are pushing me, see that devotee, see you are discriminating. There's another VIP line, I'm a general line, all of you discriminate, this and that. So so the devotees who are doing this service, they are doing the most sensitive and critical service. After that service, they can have lot of mercy, or they can really lose lot of mercy by offending so many people who come to temple. So the proper consciousness is they are the guest of their lordships. Be it Radha Parthasarthi, Radhika Raman, Radha Madhav, whoever the lordships are, they are the personal guest of them. How do I serve them in such a way that they are happy, they are pleased, and maximum devotees in the lines are served? So how to do that? We need training. We need to do it in right spirit, right mood. We ourselves need to be very, very cool and calm. We cannot be angry at that time. And we need to respond and execute from a place that I am assisting them. I'm their servant. And we should know the rule and the spirit of the rule and the letter of the rule. So if we know the spirit, we will know, uh, when to allow some more time, just to please them. It's not that everyone has to be just push and push and push. If there is little less line, how to make those adjustment and all those things, subtleties and nuisance of that services needs to be understood. So if to respond to your answer, in terms of my doing that service, yes, it is forbidden. To displease any Vaishnava is forbidden by the TT, forbidden by the Krishna. So how to please them? We need to learn that art. And yes, I know it can be very challenging. Yes, Divya, Leela Mataji, you have a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, point number 5, one should not enter the temple in a contaminated state. And in example, it has mentioned here that for Brahmanas, it's 12 days, Kshatriyas, 15 days, and for Shudras, 30 days. It is applicable for devotees also. If so, till how many days we should not enter temple?
So one should not enter the temple in a contaminated state. So yes, and that's what we discussed the other day also, to understand the purpose of it. When the sutak is there, let us say, or the period of contamination that is going on. So to the degree one is more afflicted and attached or disturbed in consciousness during that period is specifically given to grieve, right? Especially, let us say someone has passed away in the family and my mind is so afflicted by it. If I enter the temple or if I serve the deity, there are chances of all these offenses happening. My attention may not be towards the deity. My attention and consciousness are so disturbed that it would be a obstacle in the service, and that is why those periods are given. And you will see for a Brahmana, less days are given, for a Shudra more days are given. Why? Because Shudra is in more bodily concept of life, and therefore the affliction is even more. But someone, let us say, who is serving according to Goswami Vidhi and who is doing the Nitya Seva of the Lord, so that service to the deity can be done from the Smarth Vidhi or it can be done from the Goswami Vidhi. And let us say one is worshipping deity as per the acharyas, they're serving every day. And so the service to the deity should continue in all circumstances of life. And so in those conditions, if someone is able to serve the deities rightly, then he or she can do that. There's no problem. So even in the temple, if someone is willing to come, they can come. The problem is there. But contamination, and specifically, let us say if someone is coming from cremation, one should not enter the temple in that state. One should first of all take a bath and then should come. And one can always enter, but one again, the context is very important. There's no, I mean, not general rule. Now then it depends upon that person. It's a very individual thing. If you as a person is very disturbed and you cannot serve Krishna in those conditions, then you should not enter. But if you think it's all right, you can come and you can do that, you can come, no problem. Of course, then different places have different local standards also. You have to see that. And it just, there's a lot of, how do I say, differences of standard and differences of opinion that goes around this. But as per the guidelines of ISKCON DT Worship Ministry, yes, this is the context of Sutak that I just shared. So if you personally are not afflicted much, if you are in a balanced frame of mind and you think you can serve Krishna, you can come. Rishabh Mitra Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, here are some points like one should not have back towards the deity or praise someone. Then how is that we perform Guru Puja in the temple room while having the altars open? At that time, we have back towards the Lord and we offer full worship to Srila Prabhupada.
So we should not have back towards the Lord deity. If some temple is having, ideally it should not have. We should have some sideways to the deities, but we should not show back to deities.
Okay, but how is that we are? I mean, performing Guru Puja like praising Srila Prabhupada. So, but that time we have Guru Puja. So at that time we are offering praise to Srila Prabhupada. We are offering respect. So isn't it breaking this principle because at that time altars are open?
Yes, it may seem that, for example, if you read the point number 21, which says we should not praise anyone before the deity. And then if you read the point number 30, it says not to fail to offer praise in the presence of the spiritual master. So, right? So they may appear contradictory. If the spiritual master is present before the deity, it seems unavoidable to commit one offense or another. But we can easily resolve such contradiction by keeping the proper perspective and seeing the regulation as aids for respectful remembrance of Krishna. So then when we praise, then we, out of regard for the deity, we may choose to praise the spiritual master in our mind, that Srila Prabhupada is one who gave us the deity. Srila Prabhupada is the one who's the representative of the Supreme Lord. Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado. With that spirit, we glorify. He's the founder Acharya. So neither is an offense, because ultimately the purpose is respectful remembrance of Krishna.
And Prabhuji, altars are open and spiritual master walks in to the temple room. And it is a custom to offer him obeisances, but in front of Lord we should not. That how we deal with this situation?
We can offer obeisances, seeing that he is a representative of Krishna. So there's no offense in that. And if someone does not choose to pay obeisances in front of the deity, see, we have to understand that's what I'm saying. We have to understand the perspective. It has to be done out of regard for the paying respect to the deities. So either way, you may choose to pay obeisances, you may not choose to pay obeisances, but the reason has to be the same. Let us say I want to pay obeisances, but I'm not paying obeisances out of laziness. And I'm just giving the name that, okay, I am doing it out of that. That is not. Point is how to pay respect to the deities, how to remember the deities. And if I see spiritual master as a representative of Krishna, I may do that. That is not an offense.
Okay. Okay, Bhai. And Bhai, here it is said that one should devotee should worship Ganpati.
Yeah.
So, but but we don't do that. So how is this resolved?
So we worship Narsingadev, who is the master of the Ganpati. So that's how we follow that path.
Okay.
There's a verse from Brahma Samhita. Yes, anyone knows that verse? Can anyone recall that verse from Brahma Samhita in relation to Ganpati?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I
Yatpada.
don't remember the shloka, but I remember that
No, we are
Lord
asking
Ganpati.
shloka. Meaning we know. Shloka. Yatpada pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbhe. What's the next line? No one remembers.
Ganadhi Raja. This is something I chant.
Yeah, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamam Bhajame. We all
Pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbha dvandve pranam samaye saganadhi raja vignan vihan
Alam yajagat yes.
So he's getting all sorts of auspiciousness to remove all obstacles in work. From where? From Krishna, from Govinda, from Lord Narsingadev. So we are doing that. So we are doing whatever our acharyas gave us. That's how we worship. Okay, yes, Harshita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Prabhuji, in that point number 7, that says one should not circumambulate in front of Shri Krishna. Does it mean one should not circumambulate someone else in front of Krishna?
Yeah, in front of Shri Krishna. Yeah.
Some else, because we do circumambulate Shri Krishna himself, no? When we
And
do
that's why the next line is given, huh?
But in the next line, it is written that we can do temple parikrama, but in some temples, like in ISKCON Dwarka, we मतलब altar के आसपास ही परिक्रमा करते हैं. The parikrama marg is not हम पूरा temple का नहीं, we don't do parikrama of the temple, of the altar के उधर ही परिक्रमा marg बना हुआ है.
That's right.
Only. So is that not circumambulated in front of Krishna?
See, it specifically refers when you're circumambulating, the deity should be kept toward the right side.
The clockwise we have to circumambulate.
Yeah, that's not in any other way, or not in the front of when the darshans are open, you're circumambulating anyone else in the front of the deity.
Oh.
Yeah, that's. And the right way of circumambulating is to keep the deity towards one's right side. That's all.
And 3 times we should circumambulate minimum.
Somewhere 3, somewhere 4. Third time.
Okay. But sometimes I forget whether I've done 2 or 3, so I circumambulate 1 more time also. So extra is not.
There's no offense if you do it 3, or Krishna is not going to judge you and catch you. Why you did it 1 less and why did it 1 more? I've seen devotees who chanting even 80 times, 90 times, and they're not cases of OCD. I mean, they genuinely do it out of respect. They keep chanting their round, circumambulating the deity. It's in many places. So yeah, somewhere 3 times, somewhere 4.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Don't think, do it with a free mind. Yeah. Don't get stuck up in 4, 2, 3, 7, 3, 7, 3 or 4. I mean, do it with the right spirit. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the 7 times I forget whether I've done 6th time, whether it was the 6th time or the 7th time. I forget.
One time is with Janani Mas Prabhu said, if you're counting 4, 2, 3, 7 while worshipping, you are in Maya. You're not
Let us
focusing on
continue.
Krishna. You're not focusing on your offering. You are just focusing on some number 4237. What is this?
But still, we are supposed to offer in 4237 way only, but with proper
That's-
consciousness.
That's a standardization. Nowhere in Shastra it is written 4237. From where it is coming? It's a like institutional standardization. If you go to Radha Govind Jaipur, how do they offer? They don't even sometimes circulate. They just keep it like that. Now you can ask, why do we do it in circles? Why not in square? Why not in some other shape?
So is it not Tantraatrika Vidhi? 4 to like some items are offered 3 times, some offer some 4 to. So is it not
That's the
Tantraatrika?
standard across all ISKCON. I'm saying I haven't seen anywhere in the Shastra where it is said, okay, this is 3 times, this is 7. It is we need to offer that items, yes. And now imagine one place we doing it 3 times, some places doing 7 times, some place doing it 15 times. So it's a standardized across everywhere. That's how we do it, based upon the whatever the tradition has been coming. But the point is, when we are doing that, okay, just let go of that. That we do it that way. But the important point is to understand what we are offering, why we are offering, and to focus on Krishna. That's all.
So Prabhuji, when we are doing, suppose we are introducing some new person to Damodar offering, there is no need to tell them about this, that we have to offer in 4 to 3 7. You just offer, right? We don't need to tell them.
Even if you tell them, that's okay in the beginning, but we shouldn't. Those 4237 should not be an interruption in your devotion. That should be a facilitation to your devotion. Let us say someone who's very new, who does not know what we are doing and how to do it. Okay, we explain them, this is the standard that's going on. At the same time, we explain why we are offering and what we are offering, to whom we are offering. Those things are also important. Yeah. If we are only fixed about 4237, he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't remember what did he offer. He doesn't know who is Krishna. And the only thing he's happy that he became so strict that I did it 4237. And he's always being worried whether I did it 4 times or 3 times. Or perhaps I did it 6 times. So Krishna will be displeased with me. Oh, Prabhuji Mataji, I did something wrong. Something bad will happen to me. Then all sorts of those mindsets keeps, circulating, and that spiral just goes on. So none of that is required. And none of that thinking is required. So okay, this is a procedure, this is the standard, but this is what is the essential thing.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
Yes, Mandaleshwar.
Hare Krishna. So sometimes in temples, some leaders comes to reach the temples. We have to do praise also to them. Without praise, we could not. In deities, we should not praise to other person. It's mentioned, but sometimes some sponsor persons will come. Some persons will come. We will have to indirectly praise them. Then it's offense, Prabhu.
We praise them for their service to Krishna. We are praising them in their relationship to Krishna. If we start praising them independent of their connection to Krishna, that is not recommended. Why we are praising? For their seva that they have done to Krishna. We do that officially. Every day we announce. ISKCON Vrindavan, we see in the front of Lordship, we acknowledge the contribution in the we announce the scores every day. This devotee distributed these many books, he collected these many points. So are we praising them? No, we are giving report, and we are praising their service that they have done to the deities. So the guests who have come, the donors who have come, what seva they have offered to the deities, we are praising them. So attention is on in relationship with that deity. If we remove Krishna from the picture and the only thing we are praising that he's an industrialist and such a big person from such and such, and we forget all the other parts. And there is no Krishna, there is no, so that's not recommended.
One more point, Prabhu. When we keep the Tulsi Aarti, we close the altar. And when we have Prabhupada Aarti, we open the altar. But why this is something, reason is there, Prabhu?
So we don't close the altar because Tulsi Aarti is going on. We close the altar because the deities have to be dressed. The Shringar has to be done. That's the main reason we close the altar.
Prabhu, in like rituals in small temples, if they are not dressing also, they will close. They are thinking that big temples follow, we have to follow like that. In whereas in our temples in Adilabad, we have performed it. We'll close that altar, unknowingly or knowingly. I asked so many times, but they were saying this is the standard they are following. We have to follow like that.
See, anyway, if you see, the Tulsi is kept in the altar only. You are circumambulating the altar means what? You are circumambulating Tulsi also. Tulsi is kept along with the deities. When you are worshipping the deities, you show the lamp or the articles of worship to Tulsi also during that worship. So how to understand that then? Is it that we should not show that, or we should not circumambulate? So the prime reason is that deities are supposed to be dressed, and that's how the altar is closed. And yes, I know that line of reasoning is also there, that which is given in Nectar of Devotion in terms of specific of detail of this particular point. So some temples do that, and that is also all right. We are showing, ultimately we are showing respect to the deity, that's all. And we are paying our full focus towards Tulsi Maharani. So the deities are pleased. The Tulsi Maharani is also pleased in that way.
Okay, bro. Thank you very much.
Yes, Divya Leela Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry, Prabhuji, I have one more question.
No.
Point number.
Yeah. Sorry.
Point number 15. One should not cry or howl in before the deities. So if Krishna is our only well-wisher, if we have some pain, we usually we don't. I don't want Krishna to solve that problem, but I have to share my heart. If while doing that things, usually we cry. So is that also an offense?
No, why it is an offense? The sharing of
Yes,
the heart is one of
one
the
should
limbs
not cry.
Sharing our heart is one of the limbs of devotional service. We'll discuss that in short time. And about crying, you see, there are a couple of reasons in that. We have an emotional attachment with every place. Okay, let us say it is said one should not chastise anyone in front of the deity. Why? If you chastise the child in the temple room strongly, he will have a very negative experience, and a negative attachment will develop within that child in front of the deity. So as soon as he'll come to temple hall, it means some sort of negative experience. I mean, we have different emotions attached with different places. Sometimes food invokes different kinds of emotions. With certain food, we have a very, very positive emotions. With certain food, we have a very negative emotions. So similarly, it happens with a place also, and with a place of worship as well. So that's one of the reason. Let us say if whenever I come in front of the deity, I'm always crying. There is no celebration. There is no other emotion, but there's an emotion of sadness and grieving. And then slowly, I that perspective becomes strong in my consciousness. I become attached to that place or to the deity in that spirit only. The second thing is that my focus, that crying should help me attach my consciousness or mind on Krishna, but not take it away from Krishna. So I am coming and I am crying and sharing and this and that, but ultimately I want to just cry and discuss about what is happening with me, but I am not aware of the deity, as I thought completely
Hare
focused
Krishna.
on the deity. Yeah. Rukmini Mataji, you were saying something? Okay. So the important thing is, if we're sharing, then we need to be aware that we're sharing with Krishna, and with that spirit we can cry, we can reveal our heart. So that context, it's not an offense. At the same time, when we are sharing our sorrows and we're sharing our problems, then you can share the gratitude as well, and you can share the celebrations as well. This should not be the only emotion that is present. So when I'm going and talking to Krishna, so I can begin with glorifying Krishna. I can begin with expressing my gratitude and paying obeisances. And then I can speak about what I'm going through. And then I can make a prayer of appeal or a help. If I go, there is no obeisances, there is no gratitude, and it's only about me and not about Krishna at all the times. Sometimes, yes, it will be happen when emotions will be strong. Who else a devotee will turn to? They only have Krishna. So, but if it's happening anytime I go in front of the deity, it is ultimately about me. I don't take any offering, I don't pay respects, I don't glorify, I never say thank you towards any of the thing. So that's a one-sided relationship. But the relationship has to be two-sided. So that's all. Any other thing in relation to list of offenses that's given? Yes, Vrindavan Vasi Prabhu. And then we'll move. Okay.
Thank you. Prabhuji, like it is said, one should not fail to offer some praise in presence of spiritual masters. So normally when we approach our spiritual master, so we pay him obeisances, but we never like kind of glorify him in that sense. So
Pranam mantra is a glorification.
Okay.
What is Pranam mantra? It's a glorification only.
Okay, like about his services, what he's doing. So
now, if you understand the meaning of Pranam mantra, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So his Gauravani Pracharine is preaching the Vani of Gaurang Mahaprabhu, the servant of Saraswati, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and is delivering Paschatya Deshatarine, delivering the Western countries from philosophy of voidism and impersonalism.
Right. Thank you.
Glorification.
Right. Thank you. Prabhuji, like now the other point, Prabhuji, in Vara Puran. Prabhuji, can I ask?
Yeah.
So Prabhuji, one point in this other apart from the 30 other ones in Vara Puran. So one is like one should not break silence while worshipping. So of course it can be, we can especially point number 5.
Yeah.
So, Prabhuji, of course, we know in chanting, a lot of times we break this. But Prabhuji, when we are worshipping the deity, so sometimes is that the family members call you or something happens. Like if you're on different floors, so they call them, we have to say, okay, no, we'll call afterwards. So, what does this actually mean?
It means what it is written. One should not break silence. One should continue one worship, totally fixed on the deity. That's what it means. If in some situations it's not possible, that's not possible. What can we do? We should try to follow as far as possible. If it is happening each and every day, then I should adjust my routine, or I should communicate that at least for this minute, and my worship is for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. We can communicate that I don't wish to speak with anyone, and I wish to first of all complete my worship. I will attend to anything after that or before that. So I can communicate, I can organize my day in such a way that no disruption is happening. And until unless it's an emergency, that's a different thing. It's a matter of organizing ourselves.
Now, 8th point is of useless flowers without any fragrance. So normally we we take flowers from the market. So maybe like genda, sometimes it does not have any smell.
So flowers are offered for fragrance. So we should offer those flowers which are fragrant. Nowadays, there are many kinds of flowers that are used for decorative purpose, but looks good, but have no fragrance. So they should not be used, at least in offering garlands. They can be used for, let us say, decoration. In terms of when you're offering to the deity, you're making a garland or you're putting in the turban. Usually, fragrance flowers are recommended.
Okay, Prajit, 13th point, one should not enter red or blue garments. Prajit, why it is said like this, in particular red and blue? Point number 13, probably.
Yeah, red and blue.
Any specific reason for this?
There was that I'm unable to recall. I think they represent a śāstrī tradition. That was one reason. And specifically, which are unwashed, that means they are unclean. That's all.
Okay, Prabhuji. Now, Prabhuji, one should not enter the DT room after smearing oil over his body. Point number 21.
Yeah.
So that means, Prabhuji, like if one has a kind of an oil massage, then he should not go. It means like that.
Yes. We should take bath only then go.
Okay, right. Now, Prabhuji, point number 24. One should not chew betel before the DT. So
not even behind the detail. Point number
24, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So of course, Prabhuji, when we see this happening sometimes, then especially in like Vrindavan and all, so we have to make our mind understand that their guru is Sri Krishna, and it's between them and him. We don't have to do anything with them. We have to simply worship. So we make our intellectually our mind try to understand like in those ways.
No, we can. These are the guidelines and teachings of Srila Rupa Goswami, who's a follower of Lord Chaitanya. In our parampara, in our tradition, we don't follow that. That's all. In some other tradition, in their parampara, they want to follow that. It's up to them.
Okay.
As a Rupanuga, we don't do that. That's what the system that has been given to us by our acharyas, we follow that.
Okay, that's the simple way to, rather than we judging them or having why they're not doing like this. Okay, understood. This solves a lot of this problem.
If you have to judge anyone, these are not the criteria. Judge at least on the level of advancement. Who is a Kanishth, Madhyam, Uttam Adhikari, right? Bhagavatam gives so many criterias. There are different stages of development. Oftentimes there is so much of even differences between I'm Hindu, you are Christian, and you're Islam, and this and that. But if you see, Bhagavatam is so universal. It speaks about these different stages of development. One may be on the level of Madhyam, and let us say he's just surrounded by Kanishta, and who are very, very fanatic in nature and very active. He may feel out of place in such a Sangha. He may not feel inspired, but he may go and meet someone from other Sampradaya, from other faiths even, who are interested in loving God, worshipping God, and they may be facing similar problem within their own community. And they may be at the level of Madhyam, according to the symptoms of Bhagavata. It may be possible that even though we are from different traditions and even we are from very different faiths, we may be able to connect very nicely, because on the degree of advancement, it is not that I will just give up my faith and adopt there, and he will give up my faith or adopt. It's not about that. So I may be inspired from his practice in his form and the way he worships, and take those elements, take that inspiration and apply it in my own life. So we do discriminate and we do judge, but not on these parameters or these criteria. We should know those parameters on which Shastras recommend us to discriminate. Otherwise, these are basic details. I mean, we should celebrate then diversity, I would say. There are different ways, different traditions are there, different paramparas are being followed in different contexts. We can make a query why this has happened in that acharya. They always have some reasons and their own scriptures.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, Prabhuji, now this DT should not be bathed. I mean, it's not exactly a point, but it's written in the point further down.
Point number?
Prabhuji, it is after 29th, there is a certain section in which Lord Ganpati, yes, Prabhuji, here. The DT should not be bathed in water which has been touched by the nails or fingers.
Yeah, it's considered impure. If you touch the nail, but to talk about the bathing it, if you are just setting a normal Achaman cup and you are establishing Samanya Argya in the Achaman cup, if you touch the nail of the DT, you have to throw the water, you have to replace the water. There's Mudra when you touch like that.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Gange cha Yamune chaiva Godavari Saraswati Narmade Sindhu Kaveri.
So that is fingers, Prabhuji. That is the finger. It is written here by the nails or fingers. But when we do like this for the this Ganga Chamina, so
yeah, so
this is a finger. So
yeah, specifically it refers to the nail.
Okay, fine.
If you touch the nail, then the entire thing becomes contaminated. And yes, when you are using the Abhishek water and you're for the bathing the DT, nothing should be touched. It should not be touched by hands or something. Just like the pots are there. If you just, it's not that you dip in the pot to check the temperature, whether it's right or wrong. Then the entire thing becomes contaminated. We just pour it, we take water and pour it on our hand. Right? We just don't dip our finger into the pot. That's it.
But really, while bathing the DTs, you are bathing, then you have to scrub them from your hand.
Yeah, that's all right. That's no problem.
Okay. Okay. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Mandaleshwar Prabhu, then we'll move. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, in Prabhuji mentioned that one should not worship the deity before non-devotee, and one should not engage himself in a worship of the Lord while seeing a non-devotee. After 29.1 paragraph.
So what is the question?
Before non-devotee means, Prabhu, when we are getting a Rath Yatra, there are so many non-devotees people are also there. And you should not worship at all, then how could be this statement?
So Rath Yatra is special, distributing mercy of the Lord. So
Mm.
you're saying some non-devotee. How do you know that they're non-devotee? They have come to attend Rath Yatra.
No, but there are so many other
One
religion
reporter
people.
asked Srila Prabhupada, how many pure devotees are there in your movement? Prabhupada asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj, how many devotees attended Rath Yatra yesterday? So 10,000. Prabhupada said there are 10,000 pure devotees in our movement. So they received the mercy of Lord Jagannath. How they are non-devotees? They are chanting, dancing, they are honoring Jagannath Prasad. They are putting their hand out to take the prasad.
But there are some street peoples also, no, Prabhu, they're standing there and
So,
they are disrespect also.
Jagannath will make them devotees, don't worry.
Okay. Right. Thank you much.
Otherwise, how will anyone become a devotee? But that's the compassion of a devotee. That mood of compassion is so deep in a devotee that sometimes he is ready to go beyond the maryada of śāstrī also to benefit others. So that sense of compassion is so strong that impels a devotee to ignore everything and just to deliver that person. So sometimes they just cross, how do we say, the etiquette of scriptures, understanding the mood of Krishna and understanding the mood of Lord Chaitanya and Jagannath. So that was chapter 8. Okay.
Sorry, one offense in chanting of the holy name I wanted to understand.
Yeah.
So this last one, like when we chant in the temple, there are three parts. Not to have complete faith. So when we say that not to have complete faith, what does it actually mean? If, like not have complete faith, it means that we are taking shelter of some other processes. I mean, what is the exact kind of understanding when we should say if he's not chanting with complete faith? This is I wanted to understand. And other 2 points also.
Which other 2 points?
So again, this like, of course, we know that inattentive is also an offense, and then to maintain material attachments. So we still know that we have material attachments, and just by thinking that, okay, I should not have material attachments, it will not go. So these 2 points, especially like, what do you mean by exact faith in chanting of the holy names and this maintaining material attachments?
Even I have no idea. My understanding is also very limited. So what I understand is to not have complete faith. What is faith? Faith, if I have faith towards someone or some process, that means I am fully convinced, I have full confidence that this will give me all perfection. So to have faith on the chanting of the holy name means that I am internally convinced that chanting is the means by which I will get perfection. And what is the perfection? Pure chanting of the holy name itself is the perfection. That chanting is the sum and substance of my life. There is no other goal which is more glorious than the chanting of the holy name or the lotus feet of Krishna or the chanting the Shuddha Naam. That I am convinced that this is the purpose of my life, to chant the Shuddha Naam. How to do that? This is the means, by chanting of the holy name. So to not have that complete faith. And what happens when that faith is not complete? When I'm not fully convinced either about the objective or the process, what happens? Then I have my Bahu Shakha Yanantascha. My consciousness is multi-branched. I have faith in other objectives, that perhaps this is the purpose of life, perhaps that is the purpose of life. Therefore, it is written that Srimad Bhagavatam states, endeavor for something which you have not, which you cannot obtain even after revolving, going to the upper planets or to the lower planets. Endeavor for something, tat prayasa na kartavyo. Don't endeavor for something. Sorry, I forgot that verse. Anyone remembers that a very specific verse that I have to revise a lot of verses now. Anyway, so it says that, you try and make an endeavor for something that is not available even after going to the upper planets or the lower planets. Endeavor for something that transcendental goal. Utilize your human form of life in such a way. When someone is not convinced, then I have other sources of shelter. I have invested my consciousness in other areas. My sources of happiness is something other than Krishna. And that's why I'm attached to other things. So that's a disrespect. Why it's a disrespect? Because Krishna is a very transcendental, aristocratic, jealous lover. He wants full attention. He wants a very unique and very intimate relationship with each jiva. That's how the Krishna is. He doesn't want half relationship. He wants you to go all in. He wants all of us to go all in. Okay.
And Prabhuji, like maintaining attachments, of course, as you said, that we think that our sources of happiness is other than Krishna. But we know that we should not have material attachments. It is a cause of staying in the material world, but still we have. That's a conditioning. So then how do we...
The process is chanting of the holy name. How do we come to the stage of Namabhas from Namaprats? So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Chaitanya Charitamrita states by two ways. One, chant the Panch Tattva mantra before Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Second, to repent that I am committing offenses, and with that mode chant the holy names of the Lord. We do it that way. That is a way of overcoming Namabhas stage. Oh, sorry, Namaprat stage. So no other thing is required. The chanting itself will give all perfection if we chant with attention. Syat Krishna Nam Charitadi Sitapi Vidya Pito Patapta Rasanas Sindarojikanu Kintva Danudinam Khalu Saiva Juscha Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tadgad Mula Hantre Kintva Anudinam Khalu Saiva Juscha. Adar Purvak. If I chant holy names of Lord Anudinam daily, and Swadvi Kramad Bhavati, gradually that taste will come and the ignorance will be removed from its very source. Swadvi Kramad Bhavati Tad Mula. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Prabhuji,
Okay.
Prabhuji,
Let us continue. I want to really cover a couple of other things. We'll take in the end. Okay.
Okay.
So, chapter 9, further considerations of devotional principles. So please do read them. I'm not covering all of them. Please read them at your individual time. If you have any questions, you can please always bring that up. So accepting flower garlands, Uddhava says, My dear Krishna, I have taken things which you have used and enjoyed, such as garlands of flowers, scented oils, garments and ornaments. I eat only the remnants of your foodstuff because I am your menial servant. So therefore, I'm sure that I shall not be attacked by the spell of material energy. So you remember that purport from Bhagavad Gita, in which Srila Prabhupada states that if you honor Krishna Prasad, you'll be protected from material disease, from a material attack of Maya. And similarly, with all the with the nirmalya, with the garlands of flowers or scented oils. So that's sometimes I've seen many devotees becomes hesitant or reluctant if someone gives them deity's garland. If you have allergy, that's another thing. But if you're being offered deity's garland, we accept it with such grace and humility and gratitude. That's such a big mercy, just to get the deity garland. We discuss dancing before the deity. We should dance before the deity. Even if you're 1 day old or 10-year-old or 100 years old, we should dance before the deity. That's one of the limbs of devotional service. Dancing is an expression of happiness. And we dance for the pleasure of Krishna, for the deities. Our whole movement, Sankirtan, chanting and dancing, it's a movement of happiness. Standing up to receive the Lord, following the deity, going to the temple of Vishnu, circumambulating the temple of Vishnu. It said our sansar chakra can be counteracted by if you take chakra around the deity. Our sansar chakra is finished. Archan means the worship of the deity in the temple. So the purpose of sadhana bhakti is to always remember Krishna or to fix our mind on Krishna. And one of the best ways is to worship deities in the temple or at home. So Arshan can have a lot of sub points also. So that's how, when we say 64 limbs of devotional service, so one limb can be an independent one limb, and some limb can have lot of other details as well. So when we say Archan, there are so many different ways where you can worship the deity. You can cook, you can dress, you can perform Shodash Upchar Puja, you can make dresses of the deities, you can make garlands for the deities, you can make jewelry for the deities, you can decorate, we can make bouquet. So many different ways in which we can worship the deity. We can cook, offer bhoga, do abhishek, organize festivals. So you will see that Archan is one listed as one point. At the same time, point number 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 31, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. They can also be a part of the deity worship. So it is as an independent point also. And the other points like bowing down in the honor of the deity, standing up to receive the Lord, going to the temple, or smelling the incense and flowers offered to the deity, touching the deity, seeing the deity, observing arti. These are all can also be the part of deity worship. So then next point is rendering service to the Lord. So the previous point, Arshan, and this point, rendering service to the Lord, are they same or are they different? Yes, they are similar, undoubtedly. But there is some slight difference also. Srila Prabhupada points that out. Arshan means to worship the deities in the temple, and rendering service to the Lord means worshipping Krishna in just the way that a king is worshipped in his palace. So, Srila Jeev Goswami, in his commentary to this point, he mentions that we should use the same accessories we would use to serve a king. So, for example, when the deity goes on a procession, our devotees hold the umbrella or carry the palanquin, or we fan him with the charmer. So that's one of the limbs of the devotional service. As we would offer services to a royal king, we should offer services to the deity. And then there is Sankirtan. So there can be Nam Sankirtan, Leela Sankirtan, Gun Sankirtan. Okay, all the evidences from Shastras are given to illustrate that point. Then is Japa. Then submission, Vigyapti. What is submission? It is a personal prayer in which we express our own sentiments. Okay, the submission is different from the next point, reciting notable prayers, in which we recite the prayers of different devotees. So, reciting notable prayers, there are three kinds of prayers. What are they? Anyone knows the three kinds of prayers?
Lalsamai.
Yes, Lalsamai, in which we express our desire for a specific spiritual perfection. What are the other two? Samprarthanatmika, in which we express our heartful desire for spontaneous devotional service. And then Bodhika, in which we express our insignificance before the deity. Okay, so there are these three kinds of prayers are there. Submission. And the example of all three prayers are given in this storage. So then the similarly other points are also given. All of them are the limbs of devotional service. Partaking of prasad, our favorite limb. Drinking charnamrits. Smelling the incense and flowers offered to the deity. Touching the deity, seeing the deity, observing the arti. And celebrations of the Lord. There are so many different festivals. Then the next chapter, chapter 10, deals with the topic of techniques of hearing and remembering. So, we saw that how chapter 8 dealt with just one point, point number 19. And then chapter 9 dealt with till point number 36. So then chapter 10 deals with next 4 points. So first of all, Srila Rupa Goswami speaks about Shavanam, hearing. So just like there were different types of Kirtan, there are different types of Shavanam. One is Nam Shavan, that means to hear the names. Charita Shavan, to hear about the pastimes, and Godadi Shavan, to hear about the qualities. And the different references are given. So I'm sure we discussed many times the importance of Shravan during our Bhagavad Gita also, especially chapter 7, verse 1, and at many places. So I'm not speaking about that. We are not discussing that. But we can, we all can reflect upon certain questions. What are your personal challenges in Shravana? You can write that question, think of some personal challenges. What are some of your personal challenges during Shravana? It can be many. Sometimes, as soon as a speaker sits, we have certain biases towards certain speakers. Oh, this is the speaker, this is the class, how the class will go, this is the speaker. And how do we judge on based on external circumstances? The lack of taste can be another. What can be the right mood of hearing? How to overcome these challenges? To the degree we are eager to hear. Srila Prabhupada writes in first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the qualification to go back to Godhead is the eagerness to hear Hari Katha. How eager am I to hear Hari Katha? If my eagerness is increasing, that means I'm becoming qualified. If the eagerness is not there, far away from the qualification. That's the qualification to return back to Godhead. Shravanam, to go. The eagerness, how eager are we? Srila Prabhupada was once asked by a reporter, why do you spend so much money in your travels, opening big temples? Why don't you give them to the poor? And Prabhupada says, just to give them a chance to hear about Krishna. And Prabhupada then explained how when he went to West, he knew no one. And why these people are dedicating their lives to Krishna. What did I do? I did no magic. I just gave them an opportunity to hear about Krishna. And they heard about Krishna. And that's how everything manifested from there. I struggle, I sleep late, next day I feel sleepy in chanting and Bhagavatam. Welcome to the club. Welcome to the material life. It's the same struggle mostly in the city life. If you go to villages side, where everything shuts down at 7 o'clock, it's so easy to sleep early. And it's so very important to have a good quality sleep, to have a balanced sleep, to have sufficient sleep for right functioning of the body, to preserve health for a longer time, and to be attentive, and to be full of life, and to be enthusiastic. It's so important. Extravagance is condemned. At the same time, artificial renunciation is condemned. Whatever the body needs, regulated quality, we need to give that sleep. Should not unnecessary cut down artificially, prematurely, or overindulge in these things. And we all have individual needs and individual capacity. It's not that everyone will have the same requirement of the sleep. At different age, different junctions, and based upon different bodies, we may all have individual requirements. So we should be honest with ourselves, and we should see how much sleep I need and give that quality sleep to the body and organize our day around that. If we can just sleep early, everything else will flow. It's a secret that our acharyas knew from time immemorial. Early to bed, early to rise, make a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Make a man, woman, person, anyone. So expecting the Lord's mercy. Tat kripekshanam. So much of our life in this world, we experience so many of suffering. But if we approach it with the right attitude, all our sufferings can be an opportunity to perform sadhana bhakti. So let us say if I'm undergoing some suffering, but if I expect the Lord's mercy, then it's a limb of devotional service. If I have that attitude, But how to do that? So, Srila Rupa Goswami is quoting from Srimad Bhagavatam. There are two ways to practice Krishna consciousness in adverse situation. So this is from prayers of Lord Brahma, Tatyanukampa Susamikshamana. So when we accept the reactions that we are suffering as the mercy of Lord. And second, we repeatedly offer obeisances to Krishna within the mind, with our heart, with our speech. So then next is remembrance and then meditation. What is the difference between remembrance and meditation? Remembrance means to think of Krishna in a general way, and meditation involves deeper contemplation. And Rupa Goswami divides that into 4 categories. Rupa Dhyanam, that means meditation on Krishna's form. Guna Dhyanam, on Krishna's quality. Krida Dhyanam, on Krishna's activity. And Seva Dhyanam. So remembrance is like, in general, meditation is something more deeper and specific. Okay. So that was chapter 10. The next chapter deals with last and most advanced of 9 main processes of devotional service. It deals with Dasyam, Sakhyam, and Atmanivedanam. This entire chapter deals with these 3. So what is Dasyam? So there are 2 aspects of servitorship. One is Karma Arpanam, offering one's activities to the Lord. And second is Kankaryam, serving in the mood of a personal attendant.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, difference kya hua dono? What is the difference between both? I couldn't understand.
So Karma Arpanam means offering when we offer one's activities to the Lord. And second deals with service in the mood of a personal attendant. So how do we serve someone personally, physically? You know, in that mood, if we serve, just like we are, someone is doing the chavar, preparing the bed, offering bhoga, you know, all the personal services that's there. And so we can discuss that. For example, in the first one, if it's the karmarpanam, or offering one's activities. So how do we offer our activities to the Lord? So there are 2 ways. One is according to Varnashram Dharma. Whatever is our Varna and Ashram duties are there, whatever the result is there, and whatever our duties are there, both we offer them to the deities. We offer them to Krishna. That's one. And second, whatever service we are offering within the Navda Bhakti, we are doing it as we are offering that to Krishna. So some Acharya, some teachers says that both of them are Karma Arpanam, but not our Parampara, or Vaishnava Acharyas. For example, that's why you'll see the first line. In the opinion of the Karmi, offering the result of karma is called servitorship, but according to Vaishnava Acharyas like Rupa Goswami, servitorship means constant engagement in some kind of service to the Lord. They are very specific. That pure devotional service needs to be free from work born of fruitive desire. So therefore, our Acharyas do not accept offering the fruit of prescribed duties as a bona fide item of sadhana bhakti. So that's one. And then there are different quotations based upon that. Okay, we can quickly read this. Can someone read the first paragraph, please? Usually these topics are not discussed, so let us discuss in a little bit more detail. Okay. Please read, someone.
In the Skanda Puran, it is said that those who are attached to ritualistic activities, the 4 orders of social life and the 4 orders of spiritual life, are considered devotees. But when devotees are actually engaged in offering service to the Lord directly, these must be Bhagavatas or pure devotees. Those who are engaged in fruitive activities or prescribed duties according to the 4 orders of social and spiritual life are not actually pure devotees. But still, because they are offering the result to the Lord, they are accepted as devotees. When one has no such desire, but acts spontaneously out of love of God, such a person must be accepted as a pure devotee. The conditioned souls who have come into contact with the material world are all more or less desirous of lording it over material nature. The system of Varnashrama and the prescribed duties under this system are so designed that the conditioned soul may enjoy in the material world according to its desire for sense gratification and at the same time gradually become elevated to spiritual understanding. Under these prescribed duties of Varna and Ashrama, there are many activities which belong to devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Those devotees who are householders accept Vedic ritualistic performances as well as the prescribed duties of devotional service because both are meant for satisfying Krishna. When householder devotees perform some Vedic ritualistic duties, they do so to satisfy Krishna. As we have previously discussed, any activity aiming at satisfying the Supreme Personality of Godhead is considered devotional service.
Prabhuji, I have a question, Prabhuji.
Yeah, just a second. Please read the remaining part also, please.
Srila Rupa Goswami describes one who is fit for becoming engaged in devotional service. He says that persons who are neophytes and who have developed a little love of Godhead are not interested in the activities of sense gratification in proportion to their devotion. But if there is still more some attraction for sense gratifying activities, then the result of such activities should be offered to Krishna. This is also called engagement in the service of the Lord. To the Lord as the master and the worker as the servant. In the Naradiya Puran, there is a statement of how this servitorship is transcendental. It is said that a person who is constantly engaged in devotional service by his body, mind, and words, or even a person who is not practically engaged but is simply desiring to be so, is considered to be liberated.
So, what is dasyam? So, dasyam is defined as two different ways. One is karmarpanam, that means offering devotional activities like hearing and chanting to Krishna, or it could also mean offering the results of prescribed duties to Krishna. Our acharyas do not accept the second portion in terms of offering the results of varnashram to Krishna as a limb of sadhana bhakti, or even as a dasyam. And the other definition is to identify oneself as a menial servant of Krishna. That is dasyam. Okay. So, and that's what it's explained. What is the purpose of varnashram system? And who is fit to be engaged in bhakti, and why they do not accept that as a limb of bhakti. Okay. So, then from Naradiya Puran, this is also quoted, Iha yasya harirdasya karmana manasagira nikhilas vyapyavastasu jivan mukta sa uchyate. that a Jivan Muktas is a real Das, is a real servant of the Lord. One who constantly serves the Lord with Iha Yasya Harir Dase Karmana Manasa Gira, by one's Karmana, that means action, by Manasa mind, or Gira, by words, in all circumstances. And that person is called as liberated soul, or uh, that's a real platform of Dasya. Yes, Prabhu, what's your question?
Prabhuji, the first line, as you said, I mean, in the same thing. When it is said that offering results of your work is not considered to be a part of devotional service. So how do, like, if we are working outside and we are offering our results, so how that offering can be considered, in what consciousness should we do so it can be considered as a part of devotional service? Like we do it for serving the devotees or for serving for the pleasure of the Lord. So as per this statement, it will not be considered as a limb of devotional service.
So, in a conversation with Lord Chaitanya and Ramanand Rai, when Lord Chaitanya asked Ramanand Rai, what is the purpose of life? You remember that conversation? And he quotes one thing, and then he quotes that one ashram, following the fulfillment of the duties of one ashram is the purpose of life. And Lord Chaitanya says, Eho Bhai. And then he proceeds to the next level and the next level. So ultimately, we'll discuss this in a little bit more in the upcoming chapters about the relation of Varnashram in context with the sadhana bhakti. But here, it's a platform to facilitate our devotional service. If someone is following the duties of Varna and Ashram, that in itself does not constitute bhakti. That's one point. Now, when we perform the duties of Varna and Ashram, there can be two platforms. One, we do these duties because we are already attached. And that's how the Varnashram system is given, to gradually raise our consciousness and to make us detached. That's one platform. And then there's other platform, just like the example is given of a Janak Maharaj. He was fully detached, fully renounced, and yet he was following those duties in order to set the right example. So the purpose of Varnashram Dharma is to take us from the level of attachment to the level of detachment, right? Entire Varnashram is organized in such a way. So right now I may be attached. So I'm following those duties and I'm offering them to the Lord. So definitely that I will be considered as a devotee, but that's still not Uttama Bhakti. But if it is from a level of complete detachment, just like the examples of Janak Maharaj is given in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3. And I'm doing it simply as a service to the Lord. For example, that pastime comes that when His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj was, when in his Grahastha ashram, he was going out to earn the money. And Prabhupada gave an example that although he was going in a tie suit boot and going out to work, and he had come to attend class and he was immediately leaving for his work. Prabhupada said this is an example of real sannyasi. He would, whatever he would earn, he would give 100% to Prabhupada, and then Prabhupada would give something for his maintenance and to continue for his needs and so on. So if someone is doing to further the cause of Sankirtan, or for example, initially when there was no money in the temples, Prabhupada would tell all brahmacharis to go out and work and earn money in order to sustain and maintain the temple. So it depends why we are going out and doing and performing those duties. So generally speaking, if someone is following all those parts and is on a level of attachment, so that's still not Uttama Bhakti. And that is why it is not considered here in this point.
So Prabhuji, like if like personally, if I take Maharaj has told me that do business, do bhakti, do it as a service to Lord. But in my own conscience, I know I'm still attached. It's not that if Maharaj tells me, okay, leave it, then I'll be immediately leaving it, to be very honest. So I'm doing it like as a service to the Lord, and whatever the income comes, we are trying to do some kind of service with them. So this will be coming under Karam Yoga.
It really depends. If you're doing it because the Guru has told me to do that, I mean doing it as a service, as the instruction, and whatever his instructions are doing it, so then it's bhakti.
But inside my heart, I also know that I'm still attached to doing that service. Like
So
if Maharaj tells me, no, you leave it, so maybe I won't be ready immediately, maybe.
No, so that's okay. It doesn't mean what Maharaj will say. Right now, Maharaj has said to go and do work.
Yes.
So you're doing that, that's bhakti. You're following the instructions of Guru. That's all. There's no confusion there. Maharaj is clearly told, the spiritual master has clearly told, and you're following a specific process of bhakti yoga. You take a diksha, you're chanting every day, you're studying śāstrī, you're offering practical service, you're worshipping, following a certain program. So that's bhakti, no doubt. Now, which level of bhakti is there, what degree is there, that's individual consideration. We all are different individuals, and ultimately sadhana is different for everyone. We all are following different standards and different sadhanas and so on. So that's a very individual consideration to look into.
Thank you, Ray.
But yes, usually speaking, that's a process of devotional service. So next is Sakhyam. So what is Sakhyam? Devotional service and friendship. Now please read the first paragraph. Someone else can read.
Devotional service. Devotional service is the friendship can be divided into two categories. The first is to act as a confidential servant of the Lord, and other is to act as a well-wisher of the Lord. The devotee who has confidence in a devotional service to the Lord systematically follows the rules and regulations with the faith that he will be achieving the platform of the type. The second type of devotional friendship is to become a well-wisher of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, it is said that Lord accepts the preacher as most dear servant. Anyone who is preaching the confession message of the Gita to the people in general is so dear to Krishna that no one can equal to him in the human society.
Okay, yes, so just like there were two types of dasyam, similarly there are two types of sakhyam. The first is vishwas, that means trust or acting as a confidential servant. And the next is mitra vritti, being friendly or acting as a Lord's well-wisher. So Srila Prabhupada says anyone who is preaching the message of Gita is so dear to Krishna, is acting as a confidential servant. in a Sakhyam, on the level of Sakhyam. So then example is given from the Mahabharata, where Draupadi is saying that was Pratigya Tava Govinda, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Govinda, you promise that your devotee will never perish. Remembering it again and again, I maintain my life. So here, what do we mean by Vishwas? So Vishwas means a strong faith or confidence in the Lord as our benefactor. That Krishna is my well-wisher, this strong faith and confidence, that's Vishwas. So there are two types of friendship. One is on level of Vishwas, a person acts as a superior well-wisher, and the second is just like Maitreya, someone is equal in friendship, friendly but on an equal level. Another is I am friendly to someone, I am senior, and I am a genuine well-wisher of that person. That is one level of Sakhyam. Then second is on an equal level. So Vishwas means to have a strong faith that Krishna will maintain, and Maitri, that's even more advanced, that's even more intimate. That when a devotee began to serve the deity in the mood of fraternity or equality. Okay, that's another level. Sometimes it is found that a pure devotee lies down in the temple of the Lord in order to serve as a confidential servant. Such friendly behavior of a devotee may be accepted as raganuga or spontaneous, although according to regulative principle, no one can. So that's still more intimate, so as to say. Then the last is Atma Nivedanam. What do we mean by Atma? Atma means body, Atma can mean mind, and Atma can mean spirit self. So when it means body, then Atma Nivedan means full bodily surrender. Or when Atma means mind, then means full mental surrender. Or when it means spirit self, that means it full surrender of self-identity. And there are beautiful prayers of Yamunacharya in this context. My dear Lord, I may be living within some body as a human being or as a demigod, but whatever mode of life, I do not mind because these bodies are simply byproduct of three modes of material nature, and I am in the possession of these bodies. I am surrendering myself unto you. So that is Atma Nivedanam. Who is the Acharya of Atma Nivedanam from Bhagavatam?
Bali Maharaj, Amrish
Yeah. Bali Maharaj. Other elements that are given here, offering a favorite article. So it means two things: to offer the Lord our own favorite articles, or to offer the Lord his favorite article, such as peacock feather or something. Something is favorite to me, I offer, that's also offering. Something which is favorite to Krishna, I offer that. Performing all endeavors for Krishna, tadarthe khila cheshchitam. Being a surrendered soul, Sharnapati. So there's a little difference between Atma Nivedanam and this point. This point means to consider oneself completely subservient to and protected by the Lord. So Atma Nivedan also means self-dedication, but such dedication may or may not be accompanied by such feelings of subservience and dependence. Okay, so Bali Maharaj is example of Atma Nivedanam without a feeling of subservient dependence on the Lord. But Sharnapati, that mood is more, that subtle distinction is there. And then, of course, serving trees such as Tulsi. Every day we worship and serve Mother Tulsi. Okay. So I think it's time's up. We'll stop here. So Monday to Friday, we are on chapter 11, right? 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Okay, 8 chapters are there. Okay, so thank you very much. Happy weekend. We have one more week of classes. So the homework remains the same. Try to see Krishna in the heart of others and pay obeisances. That's the homework for your weekend. Okay. If you can hear more classes of Nectar or Devotion, go through what we have discussed and read further chapters for better clarity. I know it sounds too much. It can be too overwhelming. Do whatever you can. Whatever you can. Take out time. Otherwise, usually many times it happens. A unit goes by and we are clueless what happened. But if we little bit 5-10 minutes just to revise or see what was the subject matter, what is the context, what are we discussing, even a small 5-10 minute revision also helps a lot, goes a long way in understanding the subject matter. You already are investing so much of your time, 2 hours every day, not easy, 5 days in a row. Hats off to you. You are able to do that despite all of your schedule. That really shows your lot of commitment that you have for studying Srila Prabhupada books and doing Bhakti śāstrī. So it's a very glorious thing, and you have taken that commitment. You are coming to classes every day. Just spend 5-10 minutes more in revising, and that will make it very, very pakka. Okay, thank you very much. The class is ended. If you have any questions, you can ask. Others, you want to leave, please feel free to do that. If there's anything that you want to ask, I'm here. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I want to ask one thing. You told about Sakhyam. So Sakhyam, my first one, that favor to Lord, that I couldn't get the first one. I mean, one is equal, other one is, how can we see, like, as a friend?
So when one acts as a genuine well-wisher, and specifically as a superior genuine well-wisher.
So how can we well-wisher to the Lord, because he's the Lord?
That Srila Prabhupada writes very clearly. If you are preaching the message of Bhagavad Gita, you're acting in Sakhyam, you're acting as a well-wisher of the Lord. It is the Lord's anxiety. He wants to see all suffering souls come back to him. And by preaching that message, you are removing that anxiety of the Lord. And therefore, you're acting in friendship towards the Lord. Sakhyam. That's one way. And another way is when we have strong faith or confidence that Lord is my benefactor. If I'm fully convinced that Lord is my best well-wishing friend. Just this conviction in our heart that Lord will never do injustice with me. If I am just convinced that Lord is just, He's fair, and He's my supreme well-wisher friend. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says you can attain supreme peace in life. All the time the questions we have, why with me? Or I think that I'm a victim, I'm a bechara in this world, and all the bad things has happened to me. But if I'm internally convinced that Krishna is my best friend, and second, he's fair, he's not unjust. So whatever is happening in my life, if I accept it, is I have a role to play in that. It is not that I am some victim out of it, and some injustice, this whole creation or higher powers are unjust towards me. If I just become convinced that whatever is happening in my life, I have a role to play in it, and Krishna is my best friend, I can be supremely peaceful in all conditions of life. So Draupadi is an example who sees the Lord as a friend in the sense of Vishwas. Draupadi had full faith that Krishna is my well-wisher and my protector. And that's why she turned to Krishna even in the most crucial, in the extreme reversal of her life. Even when her children were brutally murdered in the dead of night. She never asked Krishna, yeah, you are so unfair. You could have protected. That question did not arise in her consciousness. The Pandavas never asked Krishna. Krishna was a personal friend to them. They were in that rasa. Never once they asked, Krishna, you are so unfair. And in fact, what did Kunti Maharani is praying? In all such reversal situation, you were with us. She was expressing her gratitude. And she's asking, may those reversals come again and again so that I may remember you. And remembering you means no more birth and death.
Thank you,
So-
Guruji. Probably that's true.
Yeah.
But in our situation, like these are all exalted devotees and souls. But in our situation, we are just get very disturbed if some such situations come. As a second question arise from your answer, like in such a situation, how we can take it? Like we keep on. At least in my case, I
So it's
I
all
start
right. It's very
trying.
natural. I am saying it's very natural to become disturbed, and and that's what it's very natural response. We all become disturbed, and that's completely all right. How do we respond to that disturbance? That is something we need to look into. Becoming disturbed is okay. That's what do we do when we become disturbed? So see, when Ashwathama released Brahmastra, and Brahmastra was coming to kill the child within the womb of Uttara, what did Arjuna do? He was disturbed, no doubt. He has to face Brahmastra. But what did Arjuna do in that condition? Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho. He counted the names of Krishna. And even in that most critical situation, he's glorifying Krishna. Krishna, you have such strong arms. You protect devotees. And then he make a prayer, please protect. So becoming disturbed is a very natural thing. And we all become. But what do we do after becoming disturbed? Do we pick up our beat bag and chant our rounds? Or do we leave our beat bag and never see the japa again till the time situations become normal? Do I, recall the teachings and take help of the devotees, take shelter of Krishna? Or do I start blaming Krishna? So that depends. How do I navigate that disturbance? Disturbance are natural. It is bound to come. This world is a world of dualities. So how do we engage with those dualities? And this is a devotional service practice, sadhana bhakti. To practice saying thank you in those reverse situations. Can I find some reason to say thank you even in that reversal condition? That's what Brahma is saying in his pratna, in his prayers. Tatya anukampa susikshamana. That in that condition of life, if I can say thank you to Krishna, that's it. We are going back to Godhead. That's the condition. That's the criteria. I can find reasons to pay obeisances to Krishna even in that disturbed situation, in all circumstances of life, whether I'm happy or whether I'm distressed. If I can chant Jai Gaur Hari, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says in his bhajan, right? Whether you are grasta, whether you are a sannyasi, you are in happiness or in distress, Hari. If you can chant Hari in all conditions of life, that's what we have to do, practice. If I can't tolerate even small disturbance in my life, how will I tolerate the pain of death? How can I remember Krishna in that extreme situation? If I can't say thank you in a small disturbance that happens during my life. So that's what we have to practice. Right?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam.
Okay.
Prabhuji, I have one question. Prabhuji, you, as you said, like it is said that if you have eagerness to hear Lord's the Shravanam, the eagerness for Shravanam is the qualification to go back to Godhead. So Prabhuji, you were saying that there are like right mood to hear, and we were not discussing, but so Prabhuji, can I hear some lecture or something which will help me to develop more motivation for hearing and have more faith? I want to like a lot of the people do a lot of ways of bhakti, but I feel if I would like to this, especially this hearing part, if I can really do for myself. So anything you would like to suggest me? Where my
Yes.
eagerness grows, my faith grows in this particular.
Shadadhanasya Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. By service to Vaishnavas, the taste for hearing comes. Vasudeva Katha Ruchi. Shushushu Shadadhanasya. If you by Shraddha, if you serve Vaishnavas, that's how the taste comes in Vasudev's Katha. And we are also fortunate that we have wonderful collection of Srila Prabhupada's lectures. So hear those lectures, take shelter in those lectures, and everything else of this material world will seem so insignificant. Initially, those lectures, I don't know, some devotees share that they feel bored and they are not able to understand or they are not able to connect. That may also happen. But keep listening. Keep taking shelter of Shabd Brahman. Those voice, those sound is not of material plane. Hear Prabhupada's bhajans, Prabhupada kirtans, Prabhupada lectures. So hear one lecture every day, hear one lecture every week, whatever way you can do that. So that's the best. And then attend live classes in the temple and Srimad Bhagavatam class. To sit and hear Bhagavatam in association of devotees. There's nothing more powerful than that. So we are so blessed that there are so many temples of ISKCON by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, his disciples and all Vaishnavas. So make advantage of that. Go to the temple for Bhagavatam classes or for other discourses and just sit and hear in the assembly of Vaishnavas.
Thank you.
That's what it says. Yasyatma buddhi Pudape tridhatuke kalatradishu bhama icchati. What's the next one? Jat tirtha buddhe salilana karhiche chaneshva bhiggeshu sa eva gokara. One who goes to a holy place but do not associate with Vaishnavas, do not hear from them, just to take a dip. Krishna says, sa eva gokara. So the purpose of visiting any holy places is to hear. You know, that pastime when Srila Prabhupada went for just 2-3 days, he could spare out from his business days. When Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was taking parikrama to Vrindavan, and he would just go and hear. And he said, Srila Prabhupada said, I did not understand most of it, what Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was saying, but I liked hearing. And then Maharaj spoke for, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta śāstrī Thakur Prabhupada would spoke for, 5 or 6 hours at one stretch. And there was an announcement that now we are going to take darshan of, I think, Adi Keshav, that was the deity. They were going to take darshan of temple deity. So those who want to go for parikrama or for darshan, they can go there. Prabhupada did not go. Prabhupada wanted to just hear from Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur. Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur, when they returned, they asked, how was your eye massage? And what was the comment that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur made when Srila Prabhupada was being initiated? When the devotee of Gaudiya Math introduced him to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur for initiation in 1933 at Prayagraj, he said, yes, I have marked him. He likes to hear. And he said, because he hears so nicely, he'll preach nicely. That's because he heard nicely when he preached, the whole world had listened to Prabhupada. So it is this quality that Guru looks in a disciple, how much he likes to hear. That's what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur Prabhupada noticed about. So yeah, we have all examples of everything in our life, our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. And even Prabhupada disciples, and if you see, till date they go and they sit in the classes. Yes, Rukmani Madhuri.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a small question. Like in winters, when we offer soup or something kada like to Krishna, so sorry. So it has to be taken hot, but we should not serve so hot to Krishna. So how should we make a balance? It's a small question, but it always comes to my mind. So should we give spoon or should we serve hot? Because in winters we like to have hot soups and
Yeah.
So should we serve this hot to Krishna? Offer.
Ideally, yes. Ideally, food should be offered hot only.
Okay. As we hear about that Brahmana Katha, that he used to make sweet rice. So he touched that sweet rice is cold or so much hot. So his finger was burned. So we should not serve so hot that Krishna will not be able to have it. Or
that is the nature of kheer. That if it is too hot, it is so difficult to eat.
But soup and this should honor hot, so it should offer hot.
And that's all. That's what. And the teaching from that pastime, the focus is not about hotness and coldness. It's about how to see Krishna as a person and how deep was his meditation, how he attained perfection by that mansik seva also. So yes, ideally, those items which are supposed to be hot should be served hot. Just like we offer milk in the morning to the deity, it's served hot milk.
Prabhuji, this question is out of context for today, but I was reading something which I felt it was important for me to. Prabhuji, in one of the, I'm forgetting it's a lecture or here it is called that take for example our love, what you call love. Of course, it is perverted, reflection of love. Several times I've repeated in this material world, there is nothing love. It is a perverted reflection. So, so how do we understand what kind of reflection, like we here want sense gratification. So what is that original thing which has contaminated and converted here? So
Krishna is the source of everything. Janmadhyasya yata anyat chartheshva bhigya swaran. So Krishna is the source of all love. All real relationship exists in the spiritual world in its original form. But in material world, they are in a perverted form. So for example, if there is a prasad that is served to you, prasad satisfies the hunger, right? But if If you are just shown the shadow of the prasad, can our heart or hunger be satisfied simply by the shadow? No. So similarly, all the different rasas exist in its original form in relationship with Krishna in spiritual world. But the same relationships as a reflection, they exist in this material world. But those rasas are not fulfilling, and they always end up in some sort of pain or misery, some sort of dukkha. If I'm being very fulfilled, and therefore it becomes a cause of attachment, and then they are temporary, and the person departs, the person leaves the body, and then the same, to the degree I am attached, to that degree I, I feel distressed, I feel so much at pain. And secondly, my heart is not fulfilled because ultimately everyone is self-centered. The center is not Krishna. The center is not, mostly the relationships are not selfless. They're based upon the body. It's a bodily concept of life. So my heart yearns to love unlimitedly and to receive love unlimitedly. But who can love me unlimitedly? And who is a person to whom I can love unlimitedly without any boundaries? That's only possible with Krishna, who is a reservoir of all rasas. With any other person, independent of Krishna, on the bodily concept of life, those are self-centered relationships. And that's how in Nectar of Devotion in the beginning, Prabhupada gives an example of that concentric circles when throwing a stone in the sea, and their circles are formed. Someone throws at some different place, so different circles are formed, and those circles clash with each other because there is a different center. For me, I am the center of my life. For someone else, he or she is the center of life. And then if the centers are different, the circles will not be concentric. They will clash with each other. But if the center is same, if the center is Krishna, then there can be peace and harmony. He's like that main switch. If we turn on that main switch, then all other bulbs can be opened.
So probably here the point, like, because Krishna, we know the relationship between like the Lord has with Radharani. It's a self, like it's a pleasure potency only. So attraction is there, but what I was hearing from Srila Prabhupada, that because the attraction for the woman is there because it's in the Lord itself. But for him, when he wants to get attracted, the pleasure potency is Srimati Radharani. It's not ordinary woman. So that reflection comes to us, matlab, the perverted reflection. What is like here we want to enjoy. So we say compassion, so it's perverted like envy here. So what is the original form there of this, the mundane rasa love which we are hankering? So what is the original form there?
The original form exists in varieties of relationship. It can exist in Madhurya, it can exist in Sakhya, Vatsalya, Dasya. So based upon those individual relationships, it takes different forms and different varieties, so as to say. There's sex life in the spiritual world also. Srila Prabhupada writes in Science of Self-Realization, the unique gift of Lord Chaitanya is that he has proven, he came here to show that there is sex life even in spiritual world. But that there, first of all, it is completely selfless. The Krishna is in the center. There is no envy there. There it is free from all sorts of inebrities. But in here, material world, it's a totally different scenario. It's more ghastly. It's in an abominable form. It leads to attachment. And this place is called as Maithun Agar. And this desire to enjoy becomes more and more prominent, and this is like a prison house. Prabhupada writes there is no walls to this material world. What are the walls? This attraction for 6 life. And to the degree one becomes advanced in Krishna consciousness, he becomes free from the from kama and lust and greed, which are the products of tamagun and rajagun, and one feels detached from all of this. One loses attraction for this. One gains attractions toward Krishna. That's why Yamunacharya says, Yadavadi mama cheta, Krishna padar vinde, navanavara sadhamya, udyatam rantumasi. The more rasa I'm experiencing in my relationship with Krishna, Yad Vatnari Sangame Smaryamane, Bhavati Mukh Vikara, Sushchu Nishchi Vanamcha. As soon as I think of myself associating with opposite gender, my lips curls in distress and I spit at that thought. That is his realization. But that's not artificially possible. How can it be actually possible? Param Drishta Nivartate. When I'm actually experiencing rasa with Krishna, how will that happen? When my bhajan is strong, when my practice is sincere, when those realizations are there, by mercy of Guru and Krishna only that's possible. Till that time, how to deal with them? Therefore, the regulative principles are there to regulate it. There is an institution of marriages there, and there are institutions of the other ashramas are there. So that's how. And when we do it under the boundaries of dharma, Krishna says, "I am that 6th life." So how exactly? I mean, I'm not sure if it addresses your question or.
My main point was like you say that everything is a reflection of the spiritual world in this material world. So I've heard like the pure form is like compassion. So here it reflects as envy. So this attraction between man and woman here. So this is also there in the spiritual world, but that is with Krishna. It's not with any material person. So what is the
rights? Man is also attracted to Krishna and woman is also attracted to Krishna.
Yes. So there the center of Krishna is there. So what is this actual form? Like I've heard, I was not able to understand this Adi Ras is there. So so that's the reflection here in a perverted reflection. So
the opposite is love. Here it is lust. Lust means satisfying my own senses. Love means satisfying Krishna's senses. That is the opposite. Opposite of love is lust. The opposite of lust is love.
So the pure form was there that everybody wants to love Krishna there. But when we are envious of Krishna, so we want to also enjoy like Krishna there. So therefore, it's like when we kind of envy grows in our heart, like okay, Krishna is enjoying, we also want to enjoy. So therefore, this has come here. So therefore, we have come here.
Why Krishna is the center? Why Krishna is the enjoyer? I want to be Krishna. I want to enjoy like Krishna. Why everyone is attracted to Krishna? Why not to me? So I wish I was Krishna.
Okay.
That's what I mean. We have heard from different teachings and from the scriptures that free will, the concept of free will is there. Why that desire came and how that desire came, there is no answers to that. I mean, there are answers and there are so many answers, and Prabhupada usually said, first of all, go out of this material world. If there is a fire in the forest, don't worry about how that fire came and when that fire came. First of all, think about how to go out of that fire. And some things becomes clearer as we advance. It's not that everything will understand immediately. We advance, and with Bhakti, the same concepts becomes clearer and clearer. That also happens.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.